This is Taco Williams, defensive back.
This is RJ Moreno, running back.
This is Noah Drum, wide receiver.
This is Mason Meyer, defensive end.
This is Johnny Knight, defensive back.
This is Dylan Cahill, slot receiver.
This is Gage Leggett, defensive back, and you're listening to Georgetown Eagle Football on SHN Sports.
Hey, good evening, Eagle Nation. Can you guys hear me out there? Eagle Nation, can I hear a round of applause if you can hear me? Man, we have a packed house here tonight. A lot of the trainers are here. Can we give it up for the trainers as well that are here tonight? Thank y'all for all of the great work that you guys do in helping to keep all of our athletes going strong on the field. And, man, I got to tell you, just very impressed tonight. Thank you for turning out in a nice, cold, rainy day. For those of you, any guests here, any folks that are here for the first time tonight, can I see some hands here? Thank y'all for being here. So this is the Eagle Nation Coaches Show that we have every Wednesday here at Berger University. We want to welcome you. I'm Rob Hipp, and we are going to dig right in here as we bring up head football coach Jason Dean. Let's give it up for Coach Dean, Georgetown. And Coach, as always, appreciate you, and we're getting started just a little bit. You know, the rain, we're on rain delay today, Coach, so that's what the issue was. Everything's a little bit slower when we're on rain delay, so I just wanted to thank you again for allowing us to do this every week, Coach. It's always been a privilege and an honor. And as I mentioned, some of the trainers here, Coach, talk a little bit about them.
Hey, you bet, man. We're fired up to have some of our trainer girls here today. I think we've got 3 of them sitting out there. Man, what a tremendous job they do each and every week for us. They start way back in the summertime when it's 119 degrees out there, and then obviously they're out there with us, you know, these last couple of mornings when it's 38 degrees. So they see all the same weather changes and stuff that we do. They're there before we get there, and they go home after we go home. So just very fortunate here in Georgetown to have a great training staff. And that certainly includes our student athletic trainers. Those girls do a great job. Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate all of you ladies being here tonight. Well, Coach, we'll go ahead and start talking here as we dig in and looking back a little bit to last week. Of course, a third straight game is a loss, a second in a row in district play this past Friday. The final score, 27-24 versus a top Cedar Park team that we have seen year in and year out. Georgetown 3-3 on the season now, 0-2 in District 11-5A Division I play. Cedar Park 5-2 overall. They remain perfect in District at 3-0. Georgetown, though, finished the game 293 yards of total offense compared to 280 for Cedar Park, 152 passing yards, 141 of those rushing. We'll talk a little bit more about that, some impressive numbers that we'll talk about here in a little bit. Cedar Park 173 through the air, 107 rushing, Coach. 5 for 10 on third down for Georgetown. Cedar Park 5 for 12. Georgetown went for it twice on fourth down. They weren't able to convert. Cedar Park 2 for 3. No fumbles, 2 interceptions, though, for Georgetown, 1 interception for Cedar Park. The penalty bug, unfortunately, came back a little bit. 11 penalties, 154 yards for Georgetown. Cedar Park 8 for 63. Coach, as we talk here, a tough loss versus Cedar Park at Gupton this past Friday. The team now on a 3-game skid, but let's be honest, played 3 of arguably some of the toughest teams here in the state of Texas, 2 of those right in our district. Talk about the mindset at the current moment here as we're got through Cedar Park.
Sure. You know, the first thing we'll talk about, Rob, is I hope you don't take offense to this. You and I have been friends a long time that you won't. But some of your numbers aren't exactly right. The penalty yards, we were less than 50 yards penalized. I don't know.
That came off of Huddle. So, Huddle, y'all need to fix your stats.
Huddle was wrong. We did much better in the penalty category this last week. And that's something I think I was proud of our kids for that, because that was a chippy game. Mm-hmm. And, you know, our opponent had some unsportsmanlike penalties that our kids didn't get involved in, and I appreciated, you know, our kids' restraint in some of that. Going back to the you know, Cedar Park game, very emotional game for our guys. You know, people talk about rivalry games and this and that, and for us that has really become a rivalry game for us. Probably because Cedar Park is a top Central Texas program, you know, and team. We know that, but our kids really take that week a lot of pride in being able to line up to those guys, not backing down, you know, and playing those guys extremely tough. obviously disappointed that we weren't able to come away with a victory.
I'll double check those stats next week because I never want to discredit the coach. So thanks for the correction on that, Coach. When I saw that, I said, "There's no way," but I'm going to say it anyways. And if I'm wrong, Coach Dean's going to correct it. So I appreciate it, Coach. Well, as we talked last week here in the same Burger House, I talked about Jackson Seosin being a mobile quarterback, and then we saw that again versus Cedar Park, very effective as he kept the ball 17 times, 99 yards, and a touchdown. Again, those numbers off Huddle. Pretty sure that one's okay.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It was over 100 yards rushing.
It was over 100.
Yeah,
so talk about his mobility, Coach.
Jackson just did a great job. Going in the game plan, we knew he was going to have a chance to be able to keep the ball on some of our zone read stuff. We changed up our blocking schemes a little bit just to try to take advantage of some things we knew they were going to do in the defensive line. So some of those were called runs, or not called runs, but read runs, for Jackson, that he has the option of being able to do that. But really probably the one that stands out is just Jackson had one of the most inspired runs that I've watched a high school kid make, and it wasn't a called run. It was just a scramble. We called a pass play, and the protection wasn't as good as it should have been, and Jackson pulled the ball down, and I think rushed for 67 yards, something like that, close to 70 yards. And really, they probably had 3 different chances to tackle him. And one of the funniest things was Jackson got on the headset with Coach Beatty, which he does after every drive, and said, "Man, Coach, that was a long run." So just really proud of him and the way he ran the football the other night. And I tell you, I was really pleased with our offensive line. We talked about in our Booster Club meeting, talked about to you last week that Cedar Park had an excellent defensive line. And those guys are really good players, and we worked hard in the offensive line this last week to be able to neutralize those guys, and for the most part throughout the game we were able to do that, and really proud of our offensive linemen, for hanging on.
Well, Coach, something else, several receivers getting touches this week. As I looked across, there may be more than this, but we're talking about Cahill, Drum, Lachlan, Fillmore, and Rodan. Can you talk a little bit about the passing game and just all those receivers getting their hands on the ball versus Cedar Park? That was a good thing.
It was. Coach Beatty and Coach Donovan and Coach Gandy, they really came up with a good plan to be able to get the ball out of our hand quicker, and with some quick passing game, and we're able to spread the ball around much more. Jackson did a good job of being accurate with the ball, and our kids, for the most part, did a good job of making good catches. So, anytime we can spread that thing out to several different receivers, it doesn't allow them to, really key in or tee off on one of them. And, I thought that was another positive last week.
Well, a close game again this season. Georgetown, a lot of positive things. Can you talk about some of the things that the team is going to have to work on and learn from that game to take on to this week coming up?
Sure. A couple more things that we'll touch on that are really positive. The first one is our defense right now is doing a good job of playing run defense. And anytime we talk about all the time, you got to be able to stop the run. And, our guys did a good job of that the other night. The second thing is our defensive guys are doing a great job of going out there and putting out the fire. And we talk to our defensive guys a lot about when we have a turnover offensively, or we fumble a kickoff, or we fumble a punt, or something like that, where it's a sudden change in possession that we weren't counting on. We call that going out there and putting out the fire. And 2 times last week we turned the football over on offense, and our defense went out there and neither time gave up any points. And that's just a credit to our defensive staff and our defensive kids going out there and understanding the urgency of treating it like a fire, and we got to go be able to put that fire out, and we're doing an excellent job of that right now. The other positive that may not show up on stats somewhere that we understand make a big difference is we had 132 yards of return yardage, kickoff return yardage the other night. We worked really hard over the last couple of weeks on that unit, on that team. And it's starting to pay off. I think we had one time last week where we started the ball less than the 35-yard line. Many times we were starting it on the 38 to 42-yard line. So that was also a big deal that leads to hidden yardage, within the game that makes it easier on the offense. And
we have one of those young men here we'll talk to a little bit later, Cade Lachlan, is the returnman. So we'll talk about that. Coach, and us, we're always very respectful of officiating and things like that. You can't ever really put a game in the officials' hands, but This season, especially without Matt being here, I haven't talked too much about a lot of that. Matt always brought the good flavor to the broadcast, if you will. But, on that final drive up there from our vantage point, there was 3 pretty obvious calls that weren't called. And I'm talking about the final drive for Cedar Park, Coach. We saw a block in the back and actually went back on video and saw that as well, and 2 holds that weren't called. You can't really put the game on the officials, but that was a little bit discouraging because Georgetown was showing some great defense. There was an opportunity to sack the quarterback in a backfield that wasn't called on that hold. What's your thoughts on that, Coach? I know you guys just played through it, but I just wanted to get your perspective on that.
Sure, it's one of those deals you just got to play through. Our kids know going in the game. If you talk to any of our defensive linemen, they'd say no one in the game. We've talked to them all week long that these guys are going to hold you. You can't let it happen. Don't gripe about it when it does. Just play harder. So. My number one response to them is when they come off the sideline and say, "Coach, I got held." My number one response is, "Don't get held." So you can't. You can't gripe about the officiating. I think it went both ways. I think we probably got away with a hold here or there, that probably should have been called too.
Well, it's one of those things, and we go back to Hutto, and I wanted to talk about this too because I didn't mention it. We talk about a Georgetown team and the kids. I'm out here loading equipment, and I have 3 or 4 guys asking, "Hey, do you need help?" And it's just the way these guys are in the community. You go back to the Hutto game, and after that game, several of the players go up and give Hutto's quarterback a hug. I saw some more of that with Cedar Park going up and patting some of those guys on the back. Can you talk about just that sportsmanship and some of those things that you instill with the athletes here in Georgetown, which are extremely awesome to see that, especially from our vantage point up in the broadcast booth, Coach?
Well, you got to go back. You got to go back and think these are 16, 17, 18-year-old kids that are still playing a game. I talk to our guys all the time about the team. This is the last chance that our seniors will have to play for a team, to play for each other. When they leave here and they get to go to the next level, or maybe even fortunate enough to go to the next level after that, you're playing for a scholarship. After that, you don't get to play for the team anymore. If you're fortunate enough to go on and play after college, then you're playing for a contract. So at the end of the day, you're playing for your teammates, and it's still a game. And I think our guys are smart enough to recognize that the other team has also put in a lot of hard work, a lot of effort, into their play as well. And they deserve to be patted on the butt when the game's over with. There's nobody that wants to win worse than our kids. And unfortunately that didn't happen, last Friday night. But at the end of it, you got to, pat your opponent on the butt and tell him, "Hey, man, good job, and we'll see you, good luck next week."
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we'll move on and talk about this upcoming week. Before we do, ladies and gentlemen, can we give a round of applause for just the tremendous effort this past Friday and for that sportsmanship that we're seeing out of these kids? Let's give them a round of applause. I think it's amazing to see that. Well, Coach, now we look ahead. Of course, back at home this Friday to host the Pflugerville Panthers. Back in the district, this is a team that we haven't seen, I believe, since 2015, if we go back, because we didn't play them last year or the past 2 years because of the realignment. Georgetown escaped last time we played them back then with the 17-13 victory. That was all the way back on September the 11th back in 2015. Pflugerville 4-3 overall, 2-1 in district play. With their first district game, it was a loss at home versus Manor, and now they're on a 2-game winning streak, looking pretty impressive, a 34-23 victory at Rouse. And then last week at their own homecoming, coming back in the second quarter, 48-34, the final victory. The defense forcing 3 interceptions in that game. They scored 35 points alone in that second half. Coach, very much looking forward to this game right back at home. Can you talk about the matchup and some things that may be different now in this Pflugerville team that you may know of that we saw back in 2015 that may have changed until now?
Well, the first thing that's changed is they got a new head coach. Pflugerville's had George Herman, long time, probably the longest tenured Central Texas coach in the area. Coach Herman decided to retire last year, and so they have a new head football coach this year, which completely changes how Pflugerville's done things for a long, long time. George Herman was always a wing T type guy, going to run it at you, use that great speed that they have at Pflugerville. And Coach Taylor has come in from Austin McCallum, had a great year last year for them, ended up finishing 14-1, and got beat in the state semifinals by College Station High School, who beat us in the area final or in the area game. So chose to kind of come back home for him and be the head coach at Pflugerville, and has really changed how they do things offensively specifically. They're still going to run the football, but they're going to do it out of a 2x2 or a 3x1 set most of the time. But they still got some horses over there at running back that they're going to feed the ball to, and that's what they're going to do a great job of.
And that moves into my next question. We're talking about their solid running game, especially in their senior running back, IK. You talk about him. He put up over 160 on the ground last week. Can you talk a little bit about that play in their running game and what Georgetown will have to be on alert for? Of course, the running game, but some things they're going to have to be on alert for this Friday.
Well, a couple things. The running back that you mentioned, the senior, does a great job. He's definitely their main guy that they're going to get the football to in the running game. But the other thing that's interesting is they have a freshman running back that they're going to bring in. He's going to be their wildcat quarterback many times. He will throw it from time to time, but he probably has 15 or less attempts on the year. There's no question when he comes in the game and lines up at quarterback, they're lining him up there to run him. But can you imagine that same kid on a freshman team? I mean, he is a really, really good player, going to be a great one before it's all said and done. But we've got to tackle. These guys are going to be hard to bring down. Many times the first point of contact is not the guys that get them on the ground. So we've talked to our guys all week long about being swarming to the football. We talk about 11 silver hats, to the ball on every play. So that's going to be extremely important this week.
Well, Coach, you've mentioned some of those other players. Can you talk a little bit about maybe what was discussed during this cold practice week here for this matchup versus Pflugerville? You've mentioned a few of those. Maybe explain a little bit or expand a little bit more on that, Coach.
Sure. Monday was a holiday for our students. We didn't have school on Monday, so we had great participation out of our guys, like we always do when we have a situation like that. But Monday we just because that was the downpour day. We ended up being in the gym quite a bit, ended up being able to, because school wasn't in session, again, a blessing there. We were able to get all the gym space that we needed. So we're able to split our guys up between two different gyms and then utilize our big room for our linemen, and really felt like we had a good practice on Monday. Had two good workouts yesterday, went ahead and got one in early yesterday morning, and then we had another one again yesterday after school, just because we were unsure about how the rest of the week was going to unfold. But then we had another good workout again this morning. So we've been really pretty fortunate. It's been kind of wet and it's been cold, but for the most part we've got our time in and have really good practices.
Well, Coach, you answered my final questions about the coldness out there and the practices and everything. So we're looking forward to the game on Friday, very excited about it. And, Coach, I wanted to give you a special recognition tonight. Your family's in the house.
How about that?
Can we give it up for Coach Dean's wife and his family here? So we appreciate all the fine work of not only the coaches, but, the spouses too. They've got to let you guys get out. And we've talked about this before on these coaches shows. It's not just a Monday through Friday job. You guys are literally going at it 7 days a week, and that's something to commend you on, Coach. So thank you and your staff for what y'all do.
You bet. Thanks so much for having us.
Let's give it up one more time. Head coach Jason Dean. As we continue the Eagle Nation Coaches Show here on SHN Sports, it's my privilege and honor to bring up now the offensive player for Georgetown this week, the senior wide receiver, number 80, Cade Lachlan. Let's bring him up. Cade, come on up, young man. Sophomore, what did I say? I didn't get that from Huddle. I wrote sophomore on here too, so I was thinking of the next guest. So I was just giving you a little credit because you were out there playing like a senior this past week and throughout the season. Cade, appreciate you being here. Early on we didn't have you on the roster, man.
Yes, sir.
And so luckily David England, who Emily's here in the house from Fan Stand, we appreciate the work that she – let's give it up for Emily too, guys. Appreciate Emily England here in the house. But, her father runs a lot of the camera stuff for us, and I said, David, who's number 80? I don't have it. He said, man, that's Cade Lachlan. So we got it. I said, Cade, you've been playing phenomenal. We've called your number quite a bit, and so we wanted to have you on the show here today. How long have you been here in Georgetown, Cade?
I was born in Austin. I've been in Georgetown my whole life.
Awesome. So. Well, can you talk about your sophomore year so far and who you really look up to on the team?
Well, I started my sophomore year off on the JV Silver, and was doing pretty good on there, and then Coach Dean moved me up for the Stephenville game, and then
that was kind of the wake up the wake up call at Stephenville.
And then I was just getting ready for that, and when I got moved up, Noah Drummond, Dylan Cahill really helped me out on my routes, and gave me some advice.
Well, besides receiving, you know, we've seen you out there returning some kicks. Coach Dean talked about a lot of those all-purpose yards. I think you had around, and again, the numbers may be off, but I think you had around 85 versus Cedar Park. Can you talk about your role now, you know, coming from the silver team on JV, stepping up into varsity from the work that you've done? It's just a testimony that, you know, you work hard and that gets recognized. Now you're on varsity as a sophomore. Talk about your role, though, returning those kicks and really what that's been like for you.
Yes, sir. They moved me back last week to return, and really my main goal was to get as many yards as I can, try to house one eventually. So
what's going through your mind is, you know, this ball's coming down and then you've got, you know, 10 or 11 guys chasing after you. What's going through your mind in that scenario, man? Because that's always freaked me out thinking about returning kicks, man.
Get through the gaps, be as quick as I can. Don't get tackled.
And a lot of that's the way it is. Well, a lot of what you did too, Cade, Coach Dean talked about that starting field position. You know, you guys above the 35 on a lot of those drives, and that it's required to have great games to have good starting field position. So talk about how important that is to get great field position for your team.
Like you said, we got to about the 35 every single drive. Then that set up a good ways for the offense to push it down the field. So,
well, tough loss, of course, versus Cedar Park on the road. Can you talk a little bit about their toughness and what you were seeing on the offensive end with their defense coming at you?
They're definitely physical, very physical off the line and stuff. I thought we played good and went back at them head to head.
Well, you talk about, and just one more question here, you know, kind of the attitude after that game. Can you talk a little bit about that and now really looking to rebound against a very tough Pflugerville team on Friday? Talk a little bit about the mindset right
now. We need to treat it how we did last week. We were ready to go, wanted to beat Cedar Park pretty bad. So we need to win this homecoming game and get a first district win.
Can you talk about your team? It's time, you know, now you get to give them a little recognition, man. Can you talk a little bit about your teammates on offense and how you guys work together as a group, and even on special teams too? Talk a little bit about that and how you guys work together.
Yeah, our offensive line has been protecting Jackson pretty good. Jackson's been putting the balls on us. Our receivers have been working well together, running our routes, catching the balls. Running backs been pushing up through the hole, getting as much yards as they can. Special teams. Everybody's doing their job, blocking, helping us get down the field.
Well, as we continue to talk to Cade Lachlan here, some areas that you feel like maybe there's some personal improvement, some areas that your team can improve on here through 7 weeks now.
I think our offense we need to finish our drives once we get inside the 35, convert, and go score some touchdowns. I think that
all kind of fits together with personal and the team. We'll talk a little bit about, Coach Dean talked about it, talk some about the practices this week. You know, you guys you're off on Monday but still committed to doing things, you know, through football. But talk about the practices and the cold weather and the rain.
Yes, sir. Monday we got here early. The rain was pouring down, so we went to the gym, full pads and everything, just went at it as hard as we could. Tuesday we had early practice, went outside that day in the rain. Didn't let that affect us. Just practice as hard as we could, and that's really what we've been doing.
And who's responsible for all the laundry? Because, you know, the rain mixed with the practice don't go together. You don't have to answer that, Cade. Talk about some of your influences, role models, some folks who've really made a positive impact on you to where you're at right now, young man.
My dad, he's been a good role model for me, taught me everything I know. So.
Awesome, man. Well, a couple of final questions here, future plans. I know you're only a sophomore, man, so you got some time still, but what's going through your mind throughout your high school career? Where do you want to be afterwards?
You know, I want to try to work hard and earn a scholarship for football, and then go study at college and get a degree.
Awesome, man. Well, the camera's on you right now, right here in front of you as we're streaming this. Who do you want to send a shout-out to, a little love tonight here in the Burger House, Cade Lachlan?
Shout-out Gage, Trey, Alex, Chris, Johnny, Jacob, my dad, Emily, trainers, Ms. Brenda, Coach Dean, everybody in here, Taco, Jacob, Cora.
Awesome. We have a parent asking for a shout-out. See, that's what happens when you come to the Burger House. You get the shout-outs. Well, let's give it up one more time. Cade Lachlan doing some great work here for Georgetown. Cade, we appreciate you, young man. Thank you for being here.
And forgot about him.
And who was that?
Aaron Bazell right there.
There he is. All right. Well, thank you so much. Well, again, we appreciate these young men that we get to talk to every week here at Berger University. Well, now please join me in bringing up the senior, the safety, number 18, Gage Leggett to quit. Come on up, Gage. Gage, we had an opportunity, of course, to talk to you last year. Good to see you, young man. And now a senior. You know, the most amazing thing, friends, about being here and doing this now for our 4th year is seeing you guys literally just grow up, man. And, you know, a senior this year, quite a few tackles last week. I believe you're closing in over 30 now or close to it on the season, Gage.
Yes, sir.
2 interceptions this season. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I got to make sure my stats are good now, man. I'm going to get called out on it. Gage, a rhetorical question. A lot of folks know, but how long have you been here in Georgetown, young man?
I've been in Georgetown since I was 6 years old. We moved here from Amarillo.
From Amarillo, Texas. Come on, man. Well, you know, it's your senior year. Can you talk about the journey so far that you've had here through Georgetown and what's really been some of your most memorable moments, Gage?
Mainly coming off of starting my junior year, really getting to see the younger guys develop and see them grow up as a team and how I'm able to work with them. I really enjoy, you know, kind of being a older role model for those younger guys.
And so that's something that, you know, we've seen from you kind of, you know, as you go through the program, you kind of go from the student to the teacher now, and you're getting to do that on the defensive end. We see that a lot and see you directing guys out there, which is commendable. Of course, your brother played here as a receiver now over at Texas Tech. Can you talk a little bit about Caden's influence on you and some things that he's guided you on as you've continued your football career in high school?
Man, Caden's influence has been huge on my athletic career. You know, growing up with him, like he's always been saying, we've been competing our whole lives and kind of pushing each other to be better. And just watching him make plays last year and work at his craft and get better, it's really inspired me to do the same thing, you know, follow in his footsteps.
Well, we won't talk a lot about it, but a tough loss last week at Cedar Park. Another close game just like last year. Can you talk about their offense and some of the areas you guys played really well at and some areas that you thought maybe we could have worked a little bit differently? And credit, though. I mean, it's a tough team. You guys played tremendously well. Everybody proud of you guys. But talk a little bit about that, Gage.
Yeah, you know, games like that are going to happen. It's a part of football. But one of the main things we've been talking about this week is that we got to communicate a little bit better because there were a few times in the game where we've missed communications and it led to a big play by them. You know, like you said earlier, you can't let the game go to the refs. You can't leave it in their hands. You know, both sides of the ball are going to have great plays, and that's another thing we've been working on is practicing with a sense of urgency this week and more communication to help us develop and become better players.
Well, can you talk a little bit more about your defense, your teammates, and how well you guys work together as a unit there for Georgetown on the defensive side, Gage?
Man, I love our defense this year because we're all just we all play kind of with the same mindset. You know, we leave it all on the field, and we're all trying to be our best selves, you know, and every single guy in the field is going to try and be the one to make the play. And so it's kind of a ongoing competition between each guy to see who can get more tackles or more interceptions. And, you know, we all play with our hearts and leave them on the field.
And now I think competition is how many shout-outs can you get at the coach's show on Wednesdays?
Yeah,
that's what it's turning into.
I don't know if I'm going to top Lachlan a second ago. He kind of said it all. But
well, we're talking about talking with Gage Leggett here from Georgetown High School on the defense. You know, you guys on a 3-game skid, definitely looking to rebound on Friday. Can you talk about just your perspective on the current mindset of the team going into a very tough Pflugerville team, but right back here at home on homecoming, it's going to be exciting. Talk a little bit about that, Gage.
I think everyone's mindset right now is coming out of this losing streak. I think we're all just tired of getting beat, and we all have the same mindset that we're going to work and be the better practicing team this week and come out on Friday and come out with a win for once.
Some areas that you really feel like – you've talked a little bit about this, but just touch base again, some areas that you mentioned earlier for improvement, some things that you guys are looking to improve on, and also talk about some areas that you feel that you guys have been successful with this season.
I'll start with the successful ones. It's always better to start with there. So,
that's right.
We've really been successful with tackles. I know Taylor's been working his tail off and making tons of tackles. Coverage is a big thing for us because otherwise they're throwing balls over your heads every single time. The D-line really fighting the O-line every single play and getting through there, making the quarterback rush and putting us in good spots. Our goal line coverage has been really good this year. I think we've really had a good run of 3-and-outs this year as well. And maybe the stuff that we need to work on a little bit more, like I said earlier, the communication, maybe practicing a little more with urgency, lining up correctly, that's always a big part of it, and that's usually what we've been discussing this week.
Well, just as I asked Cade a moment ago, how were practices for you this week? It's a little chilly out. I loved it. Does anybody in here love the cold? Can I see a show of hands? See, man, it's just easier to warm up than it is to cool off, especially after this summer. So talk a little bit about practice this week. It's been rainy. It's been cold. Talk about how practices have been for you this week.
We kind of started off a little slow in the gym, and we kind of like that. Not so much that it being in the gym, but, it's kind of different, a change of pace. And then we had our practices the last couple outside, and we were all been kind of thinking, like, oh, it's going to be cold. This is going to kind of slow us down a little bit. We actually found ourselves having a little bit of fun doing different practicing drills, and it brought a lot more energy to the group.
Awesome, man. Well, as we've got a few last questions here, talk about some of the influences or role models that you've had growing up.
Definitely Caden, big one. Both my parents tell me about them competing in high school and even college, and just their leadership and teaching on how to act as a student and a player. No one really in specific that is, like college or NFL, but just watching all different people play and compete.
Awesome, man. We'll talk about your future plans. Your brother, of course, at Tech. Where do you want to end up? Where would you like to see yourself, Gage?
I'd like to see myself at Tech, even if I get scholarships other places and not at Tech. I'd like to walk on and continue that playing with him.
And if not Tech, maybe Baylor, possibly? No, I'm just kidding, man. I always have to say that every time.
Yeah.
So, well, I think it's great, Gage, and wherever you end up, we're all going to be proud of you, just as the rest of these guys and what y'all do. Talk a little bit more about your future plans. You've talked about where you want to possibly end up. What would you like to do after high school, Gage?
Mainly study engineering. I've always had a little passion for that, and joining the Tech football program would be pretty cool. Also, playing side by side with Caden again. Those opportunities are rare, especially in college.
Then
I think that'd be really cool.
It would legitimately be too legit to quit. It would be back. So, well, one more time, the camera's right there on you. Who would you like to give a shout out to? A little love here tonight at the Burger House, man.
Shout out Johnny. Shout out Taco. Shout out Taylor. Shout out Jackson. Shout out the whole D line. Shout out to my parents and my little brother. Shout out God, definitely. And definitely a shout, I guess, to the whole team. Might as well say it. I'm going to try and be locked on there.
Brenda's waving her hands.
And Miss Brenda. You can't miss Miss Brenda. She'll get you for that one.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we appreciate you. Let's give it up one last time for Gage Leggett. And Gage, if you don't mind staying here, we got the trivia challenge. So let's give it up for Gage Leggett, everybody. We appreciate him and all these guys. Well, let's bring up, this is our third segment before we talk about booster stuff going on. Little trivia challenge here as we do this every week. If we can have the offense and the defense step up. And we've got the defense over here. Taco Williams in the house. A lot of great. Hey, Nightmare is here. Johnny Night's in the house, man. Well, we'll go ahead and bring you guys up. So the way this works, you guys know this. For those of you that are here for the first time, we do a little trivia challenge. We're going to go through this pretty quick because we're at the 6:50 mark, so we got to get things rolling here. I've added 2 more questions this week because some of the questions may be a little easy. Before we go, can you guys all say your name real quick? Just pass around the microphone and say your name and your position and your class.
Gage Leggett, DB senior.
Johnny Knight, DB senior. Taco Williams, DB or junior.
Almost forgot.
He almost forgot.
Taylor Beal, middle linebacker, junior.
Jacob Ramos, quarterbacks, junior.
Cade Lachlan, wide receiver, sophomore.
Oh, hold on, Jack. There you go.
Jackson Seosin, quarterback.
Corey Coleman, wide receiver, junior.
Alex Thiel, O-line, junior.
Chris Martinez, big back, junior.
Chris, this is your first time here, right? For the coaches show? Is it? Has Chris been here at the coaches show? Yeah. This is your first time here? Let's give it up for Chris, man, for being here for the first time, man. See, I get everybody clapping. Well, we're going to dig right into this. Of course, as I say every week, the defense won this last year, guys. The defense also won last week. They're leading 9-8. I'm going to ask 7 questions. We're going to go through these quickly, though, tonight. You'll each have 10 to 15 seconds to answer. And this is a running total. The winner will be determined at the last coach's show of the season, where you guys will be presented with a trophy. First one, it's only 2 choices here. 2 choices. It may be harder or it may be easier than it should be. First question, only 2 choices. On a standard – oh, man, it's right behind us. Don't look. On a standard traffic light, where is the green light located? On a standard traffic light, where is it on the bottom or on the top? I'm talking about traffic lights that go up and down, not sideways. So you guys, you are kind of tricked here. So on a traffic light that goes up and down, is the green light on the bottom or is the green light on the top? We will let the offense answer first since they are trailing. I told you it's going to be some. All right, you guys have 3 seconds. 3 seconds. One of them asked what's in the middle. I mean, this is getting out of hand, guys. All right, go ahead, young man.
The top.
Okay, and the defense.
We're going to go with the top as well.
It was the bottom, actually. So both of them wrong here. That's a wrong one. So we will move here. That's the wrong image. As we move here to the second, we got to get through these guys. On the back of a dollar bill, don't pull out your wallet. Don't pull out your wallet. On the back of a dollar bill, what is in the middle of that dollar bill? Right in the center, not on the top of the center, not the bottom of the center. On a $1 bill, what's in the exact center? The text, the United States of America, a pyramid, the text $1, or the text 1. So again, the United States of America, a pyramid, $1, or just the word 1. You've got 3 seconds. We're going quick here. 3, 2, 1. We will go to the defense again. We're going to give them one more shot here.
We're going to go with the pyramid.
The pyramid, okay? Offense. 1. The correct answer is 1. You are right. Offense plus 1. All right, we're tied up now at 9-9, guys. Third question out of 7. Another 2 choices here, guys. 2 choices on this question, all right? In which hand is the Statue of Liberty's torch? Which hand in the Statue of Liberty's torch? A, is at the right, or B, is at the left? A, right, B, or left? We will let the offense answer in 3, 2. Hey. No. Whoa. Taylor, we got to keep this on the real here. All right.
Right.
The right? Okay. Both teams right. You were both right. No more cell phones, man. 4th question. As we go down, how many curves are in a standard paper clip? How many curves in a standard paper clip? 4, 2, 3, or 1? 4, 2, 3, or 1? It just curves. Yep, total curves in a paper clip. Total curves in a paper clip. That's the only hint I can give you.
Wait, so like is that 1 or is that 1?
You got to just figure that out. Just think about a paper clip and the curves in a paper clip. 4, 2, 3, or 1? 4, 2, 3, or 1? I will let the defense answer in 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, defense. The defense says 3. Offense?
3.
3 is the correct answer. Good job, guys. Let's give them. That's kind of a hard one. Good job on that. All right, here we go. 5th question. 3 to go, guys. We got to keep it rolling here. How many hot dog buns come in a regular pack? I'm talking just a regular old pack of hot dogs. Zane Hosna. As he's walking out. How many hot dog buns come in a regular pack? 12, 8, 6, or 10? Again, 12, 8, 6, or 10. 12, 8, 6, or 10. I'll give you 3 seconds. Who answered last? The defense. So the offense, you're going to answer. Go ahead.
8.
8.
That is not correct. It is 6. In a standard package, it's 6. I ate a lot of hot dogs. I knew that one. Offense still leading here. 2 questions to go, guys. 2 questions to go. What was the first publicly traded company? We're talking about a little stock market here, a little high school trivia. No, listen to the whole question. What was the first publicly traded company to reach $1 trillion in total market cap? So that means the company trading over $1 trillion. $1 trillion, the first company at $1 trillion. Was it Google, Amazon, Apple, or eBay? Google, Amazon, Apple, or eBay? The first company to reach $1 trillion. $1 trillion. That's a lot of dollars. And we will let the offense answer in 5. Oh, the defense. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Apple.
Apple? And we will send it over to the correct answer was Apple. Apple. So the offense now leading 10-9.
How often do you use Google? Do you know when that happened?
Offense leading 10-9. This year it happened. Yes. It was between Amazon and Apple hit it first. Porsche. How many of you high school guys drive a Porsche? Porsche is a brand of car that originated. Final question here as the offense leads 10-9. Listen up, guys. Final question, offense leading 10-9. Very important here. Porsche is a brand of car that originated in what country? Porsche originated where? Finland, Germany, France, or England? Talking about the Porsche. Finland, Germany, France, or England? Final question. Defense has a chance to tie it up as they're trailing 10-9. Again, Finland, Germany, France, or England?
We were tied, right? And then we got the last question.
No, we were up. We were up by 3, and then y'all got the last one. So I think that went 2.
Yeah. So, yeah, who got the last? Wait a minute. You guys got the last one, right? Oh, the defense is up 10-9. I'm sorry, guys.
I like the sound of that. Because we got up. We were tied.
Yeah, it was tied, and then they went up 1. So, here we go. Finland, Germany, France, or England? What's the answer? I will send it to the offense.
Germany.
Germany and to the defense.
Finland.
The answer is Germany. Yeah! Germany is the answer. So the offense. Don't y'all tie it back up to 10 apiece? So it is tied back up at 10 apiece. They were down 1 coming in. They're tied at 10. I will never be the host of Jeopardy because I can't keep up with who has what. But it is tied at 10 apiece. Let's give it up for these young men, everybody. Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all being here. So we appreciate it. We're tied up at 10 apiece. 10 apiece. We're tied up. Defense was up by 1 coming in. We'll figure it out. Don't worry. Defense came in. They were up by 1. No, they were up by 1 coming in. Well, at this time, please join me as we quickly wind things down, but very important that we bring up Mr. Pete Thill. Let's give it up for your Georgetown Eagle booster, Pete Thill, in the house. Man, had my stats wrong, had the trivia kind of messed. It's just the rain. It slows down your blood, man.
All sorts of questions.
Well, Pete, appreciate all the fine work that you do here with the Booster Club. Talk a little bit about what's going on and some things coming up to this game on Friday.
What's going on is we need to get fans out to the game. We want to make sure, everybody that's here, invite people, try to get people to the game. A rainy, cold game, we generally lose fans or just people don't show up. They don't want to go out on a Friday night and get wet, get cold. We got to get people to the stadium. We want to encourage the Blue Crew to show up, get the kids there, get excited. We need to get people in the stadium. We don't want to give up home field advantage. Hutto turned out as big as we did for that game. That can't happen. We need to get people there. So kind of my thing tonight is invite people to the game. Get people there Friday. Tell friends to come. We'll sell them an umbrella. We'll figure something out. Get to the game. We need to get people there, get excited, get fired up for the team. We got to win these 4 games.
Absolutely. We kick off at 7 p.m.
7 p.m., which is different than the tickets. If you order a pre-printed ticket, they said 7:30. 7 o'clock is game time. the things the Booster Club has going this week. I want to remind people about the JV games tomorrow in the GISD Athletic Complex. We have 5:30 and 7 o'clock JV games tomorrow. Then we have a freshman team. Pflugerville only had one freshman team, so our other freshman team will be playing Glenn at the practice field, so right next to the stadium. Friday morning, we have taco breakfast with the boys at 8 o'clock. After that, parents will go out to the field. Anybody that wants to, we go unlock it, go out there and just kind of pray for the kids, pray for the team, for safety for everybody. There is a pep rally on Friday. It's at 2:40, so that's different than we've had previous weeks. They're doing it in the afternoon rather than in the morning, so in that last period. So 2:40 until I think 3:20 is when the pep rally will be this week. We will be tailgating between the baseball field and the football stadium. Again, we'll be serving at 5:30. This week we're having Nathan's hot dogs, chips, cookies, and brownies. So everybody's welcome. Want to get as many people there as we can. You don't have to pay for food. We take a voluntary donation. Anything anybody wants to give is great. We'll be ready for as many people as we can get there. It's covered. You'll be out of the rain. Come on out. Then 7 o'clock, beat Pflugerville.
Absolutely. Well, we're excited about the game, and as always, we appreciate Burger University. Can we give a round of applause for the ladies here and Carmen and all the work that they do? Thank y'all so much for hosting us. And hey, as well, of course, the Leggett family here, but I wanted to give special recognition to Terry Leggett. For Southwestern, we travel quite a bit this season, and Terry at Mack Hayek Fleet has graciously helped us with a vehicle to those away games, so let's give it up for Terry. And if you need a vehicle, call Terry at Mack Hayek. They'll hook you up. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. And I got to tell you, man, we had a 15-passenger van when we went to Alpine. Dude, that thing was amazing. So I felt like we were rolling in style. People thought, man, are y'all picking up people to take them to the club? I said, no, we're going to a football game, man. So we were excited about that. We appreciate it. I wanted to remind everybody as well, you can check us out on YouTube. Please subscribe at youtube.com/SHN Sports, the number one. Again, youtube.com/SHN Sports and the number one. And we will see you on Friday as we play Pflugerville Panthers here in Georgetown. One last time, final round of applause for everybody who came out, the students. Pete Thill, thank you.
Yep,
and
thank you,
we
Rob.
will see you guys on Friday. Have a good night, everybody. And remember, as I end every broadcast, we're not strong enough alone to make it our own. We need each other. Provide a word of encouragement, lend a hand of support. Somebody tonight needs you. Good night, friends.
Thank you.